Okay, inshallah शुरू करें सैफ.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. The topic which I've chosen today is dust. It is seen to be an annoyance and simply serves no purpose. But today, what I'll be sharing will be proving the worth of dust both scientifically and religiously. Dust is defined as, still the first slide. Dust is defined as a fine dry powder consisting of tiny particles of earth or waste matter lying on the ground or on the surface or carried in the air. Okay, next slide. Before we talk about the usefulness of it, let's go over the cons of dust. It is it is an annoyance to manage, leads to many diseases and injuries. Lead dust can slowly kill whoever breathes it. Dust found in quarries can lead to lung injuries. Right. So now that we know about the cons of dust, let's go on to the pros of it. So dust has many uses as mentioned previously. Out of the two categories I gave earlier, which were scientific and religious, we'll start with the scientific uses of dust. So uses of dust include that it influences the radiative balance of the planet in two different ways, either directly by scattering and reabsorbing incoming solar radiation, or indirectly by changing the optical properties of clouds. Dust also contains iron, a limiting nutrient in many areas of the ocean. So when dust falls into the ocean, it can act as a fertilizer for the growth of algae or phytoplankton, which uses CO2. During Earth's history, dust has been strongly linked with climatic conditions. Ice cores and marine sediments tell us that the Ice Age world was much dustier than today's world. Thus, dust is both a driver and a passive recorder of climate change under different climatic regimes of the Earth's past. Yeah, next slide. All right. So dust is not only used in helping the world work, but we as human beings are also made of dust. The importance of dust is also mentioned repetitively in the Quran, for example, in these following slides. So the first verse on the page translates to, does he promise you that when you have died and become dust and bones, that you will be brought forth once more? The next one translates to, and of his signs is that he created you from dust, then suddenly you were human beings dispersing throughout the earth. And the last one on the page translates to, and they used to say, when we die and become dust and bones, are we indeed to be resurrected? Okay, next slide. This slide shows even more verses. Okay, next slide. So this will be answering one of the questions which are mentioned. So as it says, the first question was the purpose of humans. So as it says in the Quran, the resources of this world are made for the consumption of humans to help them develop and prosper. Humans in current day have found a use for basically every substance that we've come across, ranging from poisonous things, non-edibles, wastes, and etc. Although most things such as metals have little to no use in nature, humans have come to use these to make tools, infrastructures, and technology. So what is the purpose of of humans and other living organisms? Their job is to consume the Earth's resources while also using their unique intelligence to better the planet. Okay, next slide. This slide will be answering the question of how nothing is useless proves the coming of the Day of Judgment. The fact that nothing is useless proves the coming of Day of Judgment because if we go into a list of things that are useless, some can argue that life could be meaningless. So many ask, what is the purpose of life and living? In Islam, it says that the purpose of humans being given life is to ready themselves for the afterlife. The day which marks the end of all life is the Day of Judgment. This is the final assessment, so to speak. This final day is what our lives are waiting for to prove that there is a purpose for everything leading up to it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so in conclusion, as we can see, even what we think is the most insignificant thing can have many purposes for maintaining the planet in our daily lives. As the Quran says, nothing in this world is useless. It is either here to maintain our lives and support us, test us, or even makes up our very being. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, सैफ. माशाल्लाह से आपने भी बहुत ज़बरदस्त